We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. I'm your host this morning. My name is Michael Evans. In fact, I'm kind of your host every morning. And we're going to cover a number of issues this morning, not the least of which is a couple of problems that we see with Egypt, some issues surrounding Obamacare, and the recent designation that the president has determined that he's going to give a waiver to Congress and all of their staffs. Now, I don't know about you, but I've got a problem with that. One, the president doesn't have the authority for that. And two, that's outside the scope of what the tenor, tone, and intent of the law was. And then third, and perhaps most importantly, we're going to talk a little bit this morning about the issue of the inability of Obamacare to actually protect the data which they're going to be collecting. Now, we know that the information that will be required by you to provide to the Obamacare data hub, as they call it, is enormous and extraordinarily personal. In other words, you're going to have to send in all of your health information, all of your income information, your financial documentation. You're going to be required to provide everything that would be necessary for identity theft and for them to know everything that there is to know about you, irrespective of what issues or information you really truly want to provide for them. So here's the problem. They don't have security on this data hub. By their own admission, the federal government, and this is in Reuters this morning, it's posted up on our website at americasvoicenow.org and up on Facebook, and according to Reuters, by the federal government's own admission, I'm going to actually use the term state, because at this point, they truly believe that they are the state. So the upshot is that right now, there is no security assurances that the information which you're going to be submitting to them is going to be secure. And of course, that poses an enormous amount of problems for the individuals who are providing this information. The deadlines over and over and over again have been missed. And the government is actually pushing the decision on whether this information technology security is up to snuff. And here's the problem. They're putting a deadline date on it one day before the exchanges go into play on October 1st. Now, come on, folks. That is just absurd. No corporation, no business would say, we're going live with an untested security system that's going to contain the personal and private information for millions upon millions of Americans the day before a go-live date on something that has to have the data in there for 300 million Americans. Really? Ask any security expert. He doesn't even have to be great at what he does. And the response they're going to give you is bunk. You don't deploy a security solution one day before a go-live date that is going to have the entire financial history, all of your financial transactions, your income, all of your tax records, your medical records, all of that into a master database. How many children are in your home? What is your household income? What's your personal income? All of that information is going to be into this database. And they're going to test the security system less than 24 hours before a go-live date. You've got to be flipping kidding me. These guys can't secure the names of the individuals that they're trying to hide from Congress in the Benghazi scandal. Do you not think that there are going to be hackers out there who are going to break into this system and capture literally the information on tens of millions of Americans, go out and apply for credit in their name, and sink everyone's personal credit? Do you not think that there's going to be privacy violations of your personal information related to your health? I mean, forget average Joe six-pack. Let's take into account somebody else. Let's take into account some of these Hollywood big shots. Are they going to be happy with someone out there knowing that so-and-so has been diagnosed multiple times with a sexually transmitted disease, or that they may have cancer? Are they? Is Congress going to be happy? Oh, that's right. Congress doesn't apply. I forgot. That's right. Congress gets a pass on Obamacare. How silly of me to have thought that that would apply to them as well. Gee willikers, am I sorry. Congress has just been exempted by the declaration from the traitor-in-chief, your friend, the guy you voted in, America, the usurper, the illegal, the terrorist, the traitor, Barack Hussein Obama, the friend of the Muslim Brotherhood, the same guy who sent McCain and Lindsey Graham, two traitors from the Senate, allegedly on the conservative side of things, to go over there and appeal to the Muslim Brotherhood to release Morsi and put him back in power, in direct violation of the wishes of literally the entire nation of Egypt. I mean, this is indefensible behavior. It is unconscionable that this country would take a position that is going to endanger the American population to this extent by allowing this exchange to have zero security and to have all of this information. I'm just going to read you a couple of quick quotes out of here. Experts say the exchanges might open with security flaws. Here's what Devin McGraw, he's the director of the Health Privacy Project at the Nonprofit Center for Democracy and Technology. Here's what he says. They've removed their margin for error. There is huge pressure to get the exchanges up and running on time, but if there is a security incident, they are done. It would be a complete disaster from a PR viewpoint. The most likely serious security breach would be identity theft, in which a hacker steals the social security numbers and other information people provide when signing up for insurance. Your home address, your birth date, your social security number. Pretty much what anyone needs to go out there and apply for credit in your name, to open a bank account in your name, to gather the information on the existing bank accounts that you have. Simply open another account in your name, transfer the money to that one, go in and withdraw it, and you're done. You're broke, permanently, fiscally ruined. Not by the law, not by HHS, not by the Obamacare health program, by a thief, given your data directly by that government. Shameful, irresponsible, unacceptable, reprehensible. The Inspector General's own report was released without fanfare on a typical Friday afternoon when the mass media has gone away for the weekend. The Ministry of Propaganda is ignoring the information as usual. This was the Inspector General's report, and they say that the HHS is running a May 13th, the agency within HHS that is running Obamacare, it set a May 13th deadline for its contractor to deliver the plan to test the security of the crucial information. The test was performed between June 3rd and 7th, already a month late, but the delivery deadline slipped, and the test, assessing firewalls and security elements, is now set for this week and next. Now, look, when people are enrolling in this program, they're going to be required, by the way, and this starts on October 1. So for those of you who are asleep at the switch, for those of you who have no concept at all of what's happening with our government, for those of you who aren't paying attention, on October 1, you're going to be required to purchase insurance. You're going to be required to fill out a lot of forms, documentation. You're going to be required to provide the federal government with reams of your personal data. None of which, by the way, they're entitled to, unless you want to agree that an undeclared outside extra-constitutional law created by a treasonous betrayal of government agents and approved by the Supreme Court of the United States as a final betrayal to the Constitution is lawful. I remind you that our original founders said repeatedly, a law made outside the Constitution or not pursuant to it is no law at all. It is null and void and of no effect. And so I would encourage you, as an American, to be civilly disobedient and to refuse to sign up. I will not. I will not sign up on October 1st, and you shouldn't either. In fact, every American, and I have no health insurance, so I stand to gain, theoretically. However, I will not sign up for it, and you shouldn't either. The amount of information that this thing will collect, forget the identity theft, which is a risk. But an even greater risk is that you're now providing all of your personal information to these traitors in Washington. And there's no denying the fact that they have already misused it. All you've got to do is take a look at what they did with the FBI scandal. All you've got to do is look at what they're doing with the NSA scandal. Obama came out the other day and on the Jay Leno show said, we're not monitoring Americans. That's a bald-faced lie. I wish Jay Leno had said, Mr. President, here's a Bible. I would request that you swear in at this moment for that statement. Of course he won't. The hub is like a traffic circle for data. Now get this. It's a traffic circle. It doesn't actually store the data. Instead, it's connected to the Internal Revenue Service, HHS, and literally hundreds of other federal agencies. They will all be privy to your personal, private, medical, and financial information. Really? Do we know who the unaccounted, unelected bureaucrats, the sycophants, the partisan political operatives, and the ideologues are who are working in these offices? Do you actually trust them? I don't. This information will be routed to literally hundreds of agencies. Opponents have repeatedly raised these concerns, that this is not secure, that these agencies don't have the best interests of Americans as their primary job function, and worse yet, that this information is open to unbelievable misuse and abuse. Before the hub or any other federal information system can open, The law requires that there be a security authorization package. That's what they term this. And it's essentially the roadmap that's used to keep out hackers and prevent security breaches. The first component of the package provides an overview of the system's security requirements. It describes the controls that contractors have installed. Now, we don't know who these contractors are. We don't know that Bob, who works at the contractor, is not waiting there to glom your personal information and then sell it on the black market to some organization who's then going to use it to manufacture IDs to sell to illegal immigrants, do we? Nor do we know whether or not he's going to shift it off to some credit card scam criminal group in Chicago and transmit that information to them so that they can go out and apply for credit cards and bank accounts in your name, take out loans against your home. Is any of this ringing a bell for you yet? It covers all the access controls and the authentication so that hackers can't ping the hub and access IRS data. Look, these guys are so incompetent, they can't find their own butt with two hands. So if you think for 1 second that your information is going to be secure in their hands, you're a fool. And you're a blind fool, and you're complicit in this betrayal of America. You should be ashamed of yourself, as should they. The second component is a risk assessment component that identifies the vulnerabilities and determines the probability of a data breach. Let me put it to you this way. I'm going to tell you what the probability of a data breach is within the first 60 days. 100%. How's that? You've got a guaranteed 100% probability of a data breach within the first 60 days. Do you know why? Because contrary to the Senate and Congress's claim that the Obamacare mandate, if forced upon congressional staffers, would cause a brain drain, the simple truth is that the hackers who are out there are much smarter, much faster, much leaner, much wiser, and much more skilled than the people putting this together. Do you want proof? Well, let's put it this way. They can break into virtually every system, anywhere, anytime they want. And the problem is that under the new propaganda laws, we'll never even know when they do, will we? Because it will be kept a secret. For the benefit of the American people, of course. We wouldn't want to alarm them. So, how long will it take before word reaches us that the information has been taken and compromised on 20, 30, 50, 80 million Americans? How long? The final component of this debacle is an assessment by an independent testing organization that the property security controls have been implemented correctly, that they're operating as they're intended to be, and are meeting security requirements. Here's the problem. They've pushed the deadline date to the night before this whole thing goes live. Now, do you really believe, honestly, do you really believe that these guys have the capability in less than 24 hours to debug and put a system online that critical to the infrastructure, that mission critical to the security of the data of every American citizen? Do you really? I mean, look, if these people can get into places like American Express and Visa and banks, what makes you think they can't get past the government? These inept boondoggle monsters can't even tie their shoes without written instructions, nor boil water without being shown how. And they're going to secure the data of every single American? I think not. I've got to tell you, this is a travesty. It and every other aspect of the Obamacare monster is a travesty. The fact that Congress has been given a pass, and I'm going to talk to you in the second part about a new bill that's out there. It's H.R. 1780. I believe that's right. It's a new House resolution, co-sponsored, I might add, by Jason Smith. And this bill, it's House Resolution 1780, H.R. 1780. This bill will prohibit Congress the vice president, and the president himself, and all federal employees, including the staffs of all the members of Congress, from getting a pass on Obamacare. I want you to start calling your House and Senate members today and demanding they sign it. Because here's the problem. Right now, the president, the usurper-in-chief, the traitor, the non-American currently seated in the White House as the king, has declared that Congress nor any of their staffs are obligated to participate in Obamacare at their request. And or, if they must, they've been given a waiver and a pass for us as taxpayers to cover 75% of their cost. Really? You mean to tell me people making $125,000 a year can't pay their own health insurance? Is that really so? I don't think so. You who make 60, you who make 80, you who combined between you and your wife make 72, 48, 63, 39. You are obligated. You will pay through the nose and through your ass. But they get a pass, courtesy of the usurper-in-chief. Thank you if you voted for Obama for giving us the number one tyrant that the United States has ever seen. We appreciate that. We, the American citizens, appreciate the fact that you have given us the traitor-in-chief as our new Lord and Master, as our new King. Thank you so very much for doing your part and voting. Shameful. All right, 1780. It's a House bill. Requires that every member of Congress, I'll read it to you, provides that the only health plans that the federal government may make available to the president, the vice president, members of Congress, and federal employees are those created under the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act or offered through a health insurance exchange. In other words, if it's not offered under Obamacare, they can't have it. My real concern with this is, while I agree with the principle here, I want to make sure that we're not funding 75% of the cost of health care for these federal employees. They need to pay for it like everyone else. And if you're a highly compensated employee in a corporation, you're going to have to pay based on a percentage of your total income. So I want you and everyone else to recognize the fact that while you're not getting a pass, these ideological monsters who are setting the policy and the tone of our nation and all of their staffs, and they usually number, by the way, in the range of about 40 or 50 per House representative, and sometimes can be as many as 100 for a senator. They're all getting Obamacare or whatever health plan they choose on your dime. Thanks so much for helping us out. We appreciate that, usurper-in-chief. You traitor. We're going to take a break. When we return, we'll talk a little bit more about this, and we're going to hit some other issues, including Benghazi. You're listening to America's Voice Now. Please find us on the web at americasvoicenow.org, facebook.com/America's Voice and Now, and also at youtube.com/America's Voice Now. We'll be back in just a moment.